At Mitsuya Private High School, a haven for delinquent students from all over the West, it's basically the unofficial gathering spot for troublemakers. And there, standing all alone, is a pure, pretty girl. Definitely not someone you'd expect in this kind of place. She steps into the class and introduces herself, saying she transferred from Elizabeth Private Girls' School. She's Kirillin Yuri, and she'll be in everyone's care from now on. The whole class stares at her with a mix of disbelief and intrigue. The teacher nervously steps in and announces that Yuri is the daughter of the Kirillin Zaibatsu representative, so everyone better be on their best behavior. Of course, the guys can't help but gossip. One of them is confused about why a rich girl like her is at a school full of delinquents. Meanwhile, Takahashi Kakuru, the class boss, jokes around, saying it's his first time meeting such a lady. He even asks if he should make her his woman. Other boys comments on his expected behavior. They all wonder if Yuri's going to freak out or not, but the teacher, quickly losing patience with Takahashi, scolds him in front of the class. Outside, Takahashi, still full of himself, calls Yuri his woman, making all sorts of unnecessary comments about her. But Yuri, not backing down, grabs his hand and says something unexpected. She never thought she'd meet someone like him. Takahashi, taken aback, is completely thrown off, asking what she's talking about. Yuri gets a little closer and shares how she's been obsessed with Yankee manga since childhood. She talks about how passionate guys in manga go through blood, sweat, and tears to achieve a goal, and how inspiring it all is. Takahashi's face scrunches up, clearly confused and a little offended. She keeps holding his hand, asking him where his confidence comes from and why he uses such abusive language. She even wonders why he always moves in a group. Takahashi, now fully triggered, calls her a witch and demands she let go of his hand. But Yuri, completely unfazed, just smiles and says she's deeply moved, not mocking him at all. She quickly apologizes for getting too excited and promises she won't hold his hand again, feeling embarrassed about it all. Once the class bell rings, Yuri sits down, but not without causing a little more excitement. She spots a guy in the class with a cropped uniform and practically yells out about how fantastic it looks. She's all over it, wondering which shop he went to for tailoring. The guy, however, just stays quiet, making Yuri remark that he's quite shy. The boys in class whisper to each other, noting how strange it is that the only girl in the class is some rich lady. They all agree that she's the cutest in the school, with some even going as far as commenting that they'd never seen a prettier girl. One delinquent, with a bit of a mischievous glint in his eye, jokes about an inappropriate remark, which causes a bit of a stir. But before they can go too far, he bumps into another guy who's busy picking up papers. The delinquent snaps at him to pay attention, calling him a loser. The guy picks up the scattered papers, muttering under his breath about how much the delinquent annoys him. Meanwhile, Yuri, who had been watching from afar, notices the guy struggling and immediately walks over to help him. She's super sweet about it, offering to carry the papers for him, but he's not having it. Nervously, he insists that she shouldn't bother, warning her not to get involved with someone like him. Yuri, ever the curious one, asks why he's saying that, but he doesn't answer. He quickly grabs the papers back from her hand and stands up abruptly, a little embarrassed by the whole situation. Yuri's smirk widens as she enthusiastically insists on lending a hand, completely ignoring the weak guy's stuttering protests. Despite his attempts to stop her, she barrels ahead with unstoppable energy. Meanwhile, Takahashi watches from a distance, muttering darkly, clearly irritated. His friends exchange knowing smirks, one teasing him about his rising annoyance, and the other casually throwing in a jab about that young lady. Takahashi decides he's had enough and calls his buddies over, announcing it's time to handle some unfinished business. The group seems to spark a low buzz of curiosity even among the random onlookers, as Takahashi dramatically claps his hands, startling everyone, including the trembling weak guy who looks like he's bracing for the apocalypse. The crowd gathers, and just as things seem to hit peak tension, Takahashi throws open the door with a devilish grin. A half-naked, beaten-up student collapses dramatically at his feet like a prop in a B-movie. Gasps ripple through the room as Takahashi yanks the poor guy up by his hair, forcing a pained grunt from him. The scene takes a turn for the bizarre when he demands the boy bark instead of speak, which, to the shock of everyone, and the boy's everlasting humiliation, he actually does. The onlookers roar with laughter. the classroom erupting in chaos. Meanwhile, the battered boy mentally curses his heroic impulse to protect a friend, wondering if he could have avoided all this misery by staying uninvolved. Still, he tries to find some solace in the idea that his friend might be grateful, though the sentiment feels paper-thin under the weight of his current predicament. Hiding behind Yuri, the weak guy whispers about how cruel it all is, clearly racked with guilt over being the reason for his friend's suffering. Hearing this, Yuri's expression darkens. She steps forward, her confident stride cutting through the mocking delinquents. One of them tosses a vulgar joke her way, earning a collective snicker from the crowd. But she doesn't flinch. Her smirk sharpens instead. Walking past the jeering group, she approaches the beaten-up guy, reaching out to him with unexpected gentleness. Her steady demeanor contrasts starkly with the chaotic scene, and she somehow makes lifting his face feel like a cinematic moment. She praises him with sincerity, though her following remarks hit the delinquents like a gut punch. Yuri doesn't hold back, calling them out for being a disappointment to the very title they wear. The delinquents burn with fury, and Takahashi finally snaps, storming over and grabbing Yuri by the shirt. His face twists with anger as he threatens her, but Yuri's laughter cuts through his fury like a knife through butter. Calmly, almost too casually, she grabs his shoulder, lifts him as if he weighs nothing, and swings him around like a rag doll. The room collectively freezes in stunned silence as Takahashi crashes to the floor with an unceremonious thud. Groaning in pain, he sprawls there, utterly defeated. Yuri surveys the crowd with a grin, clearly enjoying their stunned expressions. She declares her intention to take the top spot at the school, leaving everyone, including Takahashi, speechless. With a mix of swagger and humor, she stands tall, turning the chaos of the moment into her own personal spotlight. The next morning, Yuri decides to head to school on her own, brushing off her driver's concerns about safety. As she steps outside, she pulls out a shiny transportation card, eyes gleaming like she's discovered treasure. She marvels at it like it's the holy grail of modern convenience, already plotting ways to use it every single day. Public transportation. Revolutionary, right? Meanwhile, Shimizu, a well-dressed guy with a phone practically glued to his ear, wraps up a call. The report on some corrupted data doesn't faze him. He mentally pats himself on the back, thinking about how he's too competent for this circus of fools. Balancing a corporate job and other extracurriculars has turned his life into a stress-fueled juggling act. And those extracurriculars? Well, Shimizu has a side hustle that's less about side projects and more about crossing moral boundaries. His hidden camera scheme started out of curiosity, but when sales blew up online, it became his secret bread and butter. Married women, schoolgirls? He's got a whole creepy inventory. Today's target? Someone unassuming, someone who wouldn't make waves. Then he spots her. Yuri. His breath hitches. She's way out of his league, an ethereal goddess among mortals. He immediately decides she's not the right kind of prey. His real target is someone less conspicuous, plain, gloomy, with an aura of perpetual self-doubt. Bingo! He locks eyes on a meek-looking woman nearby, radiating awkwardness like a beacon. Grinning like he's just won the lottery, Shimizu moves in, blending into the crowd as he activates the hidden camera in his shoe. The thrill of this twisted mission has him giddy. He sneaks up and accidentally brushes against the woman's back. She freezes, her shock visible, but she doesn't say a word. Jackpotting in his head, Shimizu's already counting future sales. High school girl getting harassed is about to be the next big hit on his shady store. He's practically patting himself on the back when a voice cuts through his smug delusions. Yuri notices the woman's pale face and gently helps her sit on a bench to calm down. The woman expresses her gratitude, but Shimizu, observing the interaction, feels increasingly irritated. He can't shake off his dislike for this type of overly confident woman, clever, invasive, and always stirring up trouble. She's the kind of person he avoids at all costs, and he decides it's time to leave before things escalate. Just as he prepares to excuse himself, the woman suddenly claims she has been harassed. Yuri is taken aback, while Shimizu suppresses a laugh, already anticipating the mess this will cause. Confident in his ability to handle the situation, he denies the accusation and demands evidence, knowing that staying calm is key. He suggests the woman might be after settlement money, adding a jab about how frightening students can be these days. The woman, however, falters and starts coughing, leaving him smugly satisfied that she's backing down. Before he can make his exit, Yuri unexpectedly compliments his watch. Shimizu, caught off guard, thanks her, but she continues, pointing out his branded tie, suit, and bag. He feels a surge of pride until Yuri casually mentions his shoes, decidedly not branded. Her observation leaves him momentarily puzzled, wondering what she's up to. He brushes it off with an excuse about walking a lot as a salesman, but Yuri's smile sharpens, and she remarks on his inconsistency. The comment hits harder than he'd like to admit. Yuri steps closer, her tone darkening as she scrutinizes his behavior. She accuses him of trying too hard to hide his true self, pointing out the contradictions in his demeanor. Shimizu, flustered, backs away, frantically denying the harassment accusation. Just then, both notice someone filming the entire exchange. Panic sets in for Shimizu as he realizes the potential consequences if the video spreads online. Desperate, he tries to make a quick getaway, but Yuri taunts him, implying he's running from the situation. Before he can react, Yuri grabs his collar and slams him to the ground with surprising force. Dazed and teary-eyed, Shimizu looks up as Yuri picks up one of his shoes and points to it, leaving him shocked and speechless. Security arrives and quickly detains him despite his loud protests of innocence. As he's dragged away, Shimizu shouts about being falsely accused, his pleas falling on deaf ears. Once the chaos subsides, the schoolgirl thanks Yuri, explaining how scared she was and how grateful she feels for the help. Yuri, however, seems more disgusted by the entire ordeal, muttering about the awful rumors surrounding such incidents. Glancing at her watch, she suddenly realizes she's late for school and hurries off, leaving the scene behind. Yuri strolls down the hallway, casually overhearing a group of students gossiping about her. They can't help but whisper excitedly about the transfer student from Class 2B, the one with the super rich background and killer looks. Some even joke that she threw Takahashi on her first day, though honestly, no one's all that surprised given how terrible he is at fighting. The buzz around her seems to be building, but she just smiles and keeps walking, perfectly unfazed by the chatter. As she walks by, she hears one of them muttering about how disgusting the floor is and warning someone not to spit on it. It's a bit random, but Yuri keeps her cool, still grinning. Once she reaches the classroom, she enters with a casual smile, asking what everyone's up to. A bully, clearly thinking he's being smooth, answers with a grin, calling her the rumored young lady. He jokes about how hot she is and how her arrival's going to make waves, though she's still a little confused about what he means by buzz. They finally introduce themselves with way too much enthusiasm, boasting about their video streaming channel that has over 400,000 subscribers. One of the guys, Xavier, is apparently the creepy one who loves taking on all sorts of ridiculous challenges from their viewers. Yuri's not sure how to react to the whole thing, so she just gives Xavier a puzzled look. When they tell her about the weird physical challenge videos, her eyebrows raise and she casually repeats Streamer's Challenge, trying to wrap her head around it all. Then one of them mischievously asks if she'd be willing to participate in one of their popular viewer-requested challenges. He gives her a smirk and drops the question, "What's the size of her melons?" Yuri, completely baffled, asks melons. The guy, grinning even wider, clarifies, which doesn't seem to faze Yuri much. She responds dryly, saying she wouldn't know unless she'd ask the old man. The bully laughs and reads off the viewer's fiery comments, ordering Xavier to give Yuri a massage. Xavier, clearly uncomfortable, hesitates and shakes his head. The bully, ever the instigator, grins evilly and asks if Xavier needs a reminder of what happens when he doesn't comply. Shaking, Xavier reluctantly extends his hand toward Yuri, ready to do whatever it takes. Yuri, however, isn't having it. She calmly asks him if he's okay with this. Xavier, completely confused, wonders what she means. With a knowing look, Yuri grabs his hand and gives him a soft but serious look, saying she understands. Those two are clearly pressuring him into things he doesn't want to do. She tells him that if he doesn't like it, he'll have to stand up for himself. This isn't the kind of relationship that's built on friendship, just manipulation. Xavier reflects on his past with the guys, remembering when they were close friends, trusting each other. But now, things have changed. The bully suggests they team up and stream together, dreaming about fame, money, and girls. Xavier, feeling the weight of it all, knows it's just wishful thinking. After they started streaming, their relationship shifted dramatically. The demand for more extreme content and the rise of expectations as their audience grew brought about burnout. The pressure kept mounting, and the two of them started acting recklessly. Things even got out of hand when they shaved Xavier's head, but now he knows he has to stop them. He tells them he's done with all of this. He doesn't want to do it anymore. The bully shrugs it off, not caring. Another guy steps up, claiming Xavier's useless and offering to take his place. Xavier tries to stop him, thinking he's acting rashly, but the bully steps toward Yuri with a wicked grin. Xavier's fists clench, realizing the only one who can stop this is himself. In a burst of emotion, he rushes forward and punches the bully square in the face. Yuri watches with a bright smile her face while the other bully stares in disbelief. Xavier doesn't stop there. He tackles the bully to the ground, who screams, vowing revenge. Xavier, standing his ground, tells him he's done streaming, putting his foot down once and for all. The bully threatens him again, but Xavier shoots back, telling him to never forgive him. Meanwhile, the live stream chat goes wild, commenting on the chaos unfolding. People joke about how messy it all is, some even saying they'll stop being fans if Xavier leaves, while others are just looking forward to the drama. It's becoming legendary. The beaten bully looks over at his partner, asking for help. But before the other can act, Yuri swoops in, flying through the air and slamming him to the ground in her signature move. The bully, now disheveled and in shock, looks up at her as she smirks. She casually calls him rude for interrupting two people's fight. Her confidence has the other bully stunned. The comments flood in, praising Yuri for her cool, calm demeanor and calling out Xavier for his strength. Back in a different room, Takahashi watches the stream, gritting his teeth. He mutters to himself about how Yuri seems to be pretending to be some kind of hero. He can't stand her getting ahead of herself and promises to crush her no matter what. Yuri sits in class, thinking to herself about how many people are talking about her today. It almost feels like there's no space left. Just then, a classmate greets her. He smiles, his face covered in bandages, and introduces himself as Murata, the guy she helped not too long ago. He wants to thank her for that day. She's a bit confused, not recognizing him right away. The bell rings, signaling the end of class, and they walk down the corridor together. Murata mentions she hasn't had much chance to explore the school yet, and Yuri agrees, admitting there are still many places she doesn't know. He notes that the teacher barely puts in any effort, and the guys in their class seem to avoid her. Still, he offers to show her around. Yuri smiles, grateful for his offer, and Murata leads her through the school. First stop, the cafeteria. He jokes that it's where all the delinquents hang out, and Yuri can't help but laugh at how depressing it looks. Next, they hit the rooftop, which also has its delinquent crowd, but the view is fantastic. Then, they head to the infirmary, another popular spot for the troublemakers. Yuri, still in awe, exclaims that it's amazing how many hangout spots there are around the school. She gets really excited, likening it to the Yankee manga she's dreamed of. She can't hide her excitement, practically glowing. Murata, chuckling a bit, agrees, but then adds that there's a place she might like even more. Yuri's all ears, looking forward to what's next. They stop at an open area, and she asks what kind of place this is. Suddenly, they hear footsteps approaching, and a familiar voice interrupts. Takahashi appears, his trademark devilish smile plastered on his face. He comments sarcastically about how long he's been waiting to see her and notes that her face is just as annoying as ever. Murata and Yuri are both taken aback when they see him surrounded by a group of delinquents. Takahashi, with a smirk, mentions he saw her video go viral and how she's become an internet celebrity now. Yuri, completely clueless, asks who he even is. He grits his teeth and snaps back, revealing he's the one she sent flying, Takahashi. Yuri glances at him, muttering under her breath about how much of a trashy situation this is. Takahashi glares back, rage boiling inside him. He curses her and promises that after today, she won't be getting any favors from him. He orders his number 4 to step in and teach her a lesson. To Yuri's shock, Murata, the guy she helped earlier, grabs her from behind and whispers an apology in her ear. Murata, looking guilty, admits how bad things have gotten since she helped him. He confesses that Takahashi promised to stop making everyone else miserable if Murata brought her in. Terrified of the consequences, he apologizes profusely. Takahashi smirks, enjoying the chaos, and taunts her about how it must feel to be betrayed by the person she helped. Yuri, calm and unfazed, shakes her head, thinking how hopeless Takahashi really is. Takahashi, getting more irritated, warns her that she still doesn't seem to get it. He mocks her for being powerless now and threatens to make a mess of her face. As he moves closer, a voice cuts through the tension, telling him to stop being so uncool. Out of nowhere, a new guy appears, lifting Takahashi off the ground and tossing him down. He screams in frustration, questioning what's going on. The new guy stands tall, his voice dripping with disdain, calling Takahashi and his crew lame for ganging up on a lonely girl. Yuri looks at him with a curious expression. He seems like someone straight out of an action movie, and with a smirk, he advises Takahashi to actually take care of women if he's going to act like a real man. The hero dude grins like he's straight out of a comic book, suggesting that true gentlemen always look out for the ladies. Yuri, watching him, can't help but think this is like the Yankee manga she's always dreamed of. Finally, her ideal guy. As the onlookers start chattering, speculating if he truly just leaped down from the second story, a voice in the crowd identifies him as Keisuji Sora from 2A, sparking curiosity about his unexpected appearance. Sora, not missing a beat, casually mentions he's been skipping school for a while, and today, he just wanted a nice nap. Of course, that nap gets ruined by all this drama. Takahashi, clueless, wonders what Sora's even talking about. Sora flips them off, tired of their nonsense, and casually mentions he's been working non-stop for the last 20 days and just wanted some peace and quiet. The bullies laugh it off, clearly not caring, saying they're not interested in his complaints. Sora, growing more annoyed, calls out their lame behavior, saying ganging up on one person is pathetic. He also points out how lame it is to deceive someone into attacking others. Honestly, it's just making him angrier. He's so fed up that he decides he's going to hit each one of them at least once. One of the bullies steps forward with a stick and starts acting tough, swinging it around like he's going to lecture Sora. But before anyone even realizes what's happening, Sora lands a punch so hard it sends the bully flying, crashing to the ground. The other bullies look at each other in shock and quickly scatter, disappearing faster than a flash sale. Sora watches them run off, remarking that they're exactly the type who'd gang up on a single girl. Yuri, utterly thrilled by the whole scene, can't contain her excitement. She finally found her dream Yankee, the dude she's been pining for. After feeling fed up with the school scene, seeing Sora in action has lifted her spirits. She cheekily suggests a one-on-one brawl, only for Sora to suddenly spring a nosebleed and dramatically flop over before anyone can even blink. Yuri and Murata just stare, completely dumbfounded. Murata, with a mix of disbelief and amusement, comments that Sora's really weak when it comes to girls. Yuri stands frozen, utterly confused. This is nothing like how she imagined meeting her ideal Yankee. Murata and Yuri are tailing Sora around like they're on some kind of secret mission. Sora, busy at work, casually tells his boss he's stepping out for a break. His boss, not too concerned, just waves him off with a "take care." Meanwhile, Yuri's off to the side, peeking at Sora through binoculars like she's in a spy movie or something. Murata's not having any of it and warns her that spying on someone like this, lurking in the shadows, makes them pretty much the same as stalkers, but she just grins at him and declares them accomplices in this little operation. Murata looks totally confused and doesn't quite get what she means. Flashback to an hour ago when Yuri was practically begging Murata to tell her about Sora. Murata looks totally caught off guard and tries to play it cool, claiming he doesn't know much about Sora. Yuri isn't letting him off the hook that easily. After all, he once brought Sora home, leading her to assume they were friends. Murata, visibly nervous, awkwardly agrees but quickly adds that it wouldn't be shocking if he betrayed her kindness someday. She simply smiles at him, brushing off the comment, and mentions how much she enjoyed the school tour he gave her. Murata tries to deflect, but Yuri presses, asking if it was all to protect his friends. He admits it, calling himself weak. She finishes for him, saying they're friends, and he just freezes. Realizing what she just said, he's totally floored and starts yelling, wondering when they became friends. Back in the present, she spots Sora surrounded by kittens, totally adoring the guy. She excitedly points out that animals just love him. She's convinced he's got this crazy strong sense of justice since he's out here protecting the kittens on their way home and helping out some guy who's getting bullied. Apparently, he's carrying an elderly person's belongings too. She's convinced Sora is the absolute perfect person, all flawless and noble. She even jokes that she wants to duel him. Murata, not amused, just tells her it's impossible. She asks why, and as he begins to clarify, she suddenly notices Sora's gone. Without missing a beat, she announces to go after him. Just then, a stray dog comes running up to them, barking like crazy. Yuri pats it, calling it cute and totally harmless. Murata, ever the realist, points out that the dog's got a collar on, so it's likely a domestic dog, not a stray. He figures its owner's probably nearby. Of course, she doesn't just leave it at that. She scoops the dog up and decides they need to find its owner. As she's holding it, Murata notices the dog's injury and points out the wound. She gets all worried, insisting it needs treatment right away. Just then, they hear an angry voice calling for the dog. An intimidating man storms onto the scene, ranting about how the dog escaped while he was shampooing it. Seriously, who shampoos a dog like that? He's threatening to beat the dog up once he gets it back. Murata takes one look at the guy and, with a sigh, explains that the guy is well known around the neighborhood, and not in a good way. He's got a reputation for being Mr. Dog Killer. Looks like they just ran into a real winner, huh? Yuri, curious as always, asks Murata what the word meant. Murata just shrugs it off, explaining that it's just a rumor floating around the neighborhood. Apparently, this guy is known for getting dogs from somewhere, maybe even stealing them, and then, well, not exactly treating them well. He doesn't have any solid proof though, so nothing's been done about it. Yuri's completely horrified by this, but before they can process it, they hear the man's angry voice from behind them. He's yelling at them, accusing them of stealing his precious dog and demanding compensation. Yuri stays cool though, telling the guy that at least they found his dog's owner, giving Murata a knowing glance. Murata awkwardly confirms they met the guy by chance, while the man just keeps ranting about needing money to make up for the supposed bruises on the dog's back. But then, Yuri gets suspicious, noting that it's strange the dog is so scared of him. The man makes up some lame excuse, saying the dog's just shy. Then she goes for the next question, asking what the dog's name is. The man sheepishly admits he hasn't named it yet. Yuri, looking unimpressed, asks if he's really the dog's owner, which is followed by the man's sinister grin as he invites them to come see the proof. Murata warns her that this could go badly, pointing out that there are some scary rumors about this guy. Yuri, however, laughs it off, thinking everything's fine. They follow the man to his house, and when they get inside, she casually remarks that it looks like a pretty typical family home. Murata, always the polite one, tells her that it's rude to comment on that, but she just keeps going, noticing a weird animal smell in the air. Murata warns her again, but she's already intrigued. The man then presents a picture, claiming it's proof that the dog really is his. Yuri takes a look and agrees that it does look like the dog. The man starts talking about how the dog hated him because he disciplined it too harshly, but now he plans to be nicer to it. Yuri, all serious now, apologizes for doubting him and prepares to return the dog, but Murata stops her, saying something feels off. Of course, the man roars at them to stop being ridiculous and demands they hand it over. The moment he lays a finger on the dog, it unleashes a symphony of barks and leaps away as if its life depends on it. Echoing in the distance are the cries of other canine companions. Yuri's detective instincts kick in once again as he slyly questions the man about his furry friends. The man nods, but Murata, sensing something's wrong, heads toward a door. The man instantly flips out, shouting at him to stay away from it. Murata opens the door anyway, and inside, they find a room full of cabinets, each with a dog lying inside. They don't look too great, to say the least. Yuri's shocked, mumbling how horrible it is as she covers her mouth. Murata, still frozen in place, can barely speak, but when he does, it's in disbelief. He realizes the photo of the dog was all staged, just a good presentation to trick people. The rumors were true. This guy isn't just a dog killer, he's a wicked breeder. It's way worse than they thought. Murata is just casually explaining how a wicked breeder operates. Basically, it's an animal breeder who pushes their animals to the limit, keeps them in terrible conditions, and doesn't bother treating diseases or injuries. It's all about the profit, and they hide their practices for as long as they can. Even when authorities try to get involved, it's a tough situation without concrete proof. and it's nearly impossible to get them arrested. Murata, with his personal connection to animals, gets pretty fired up about it. His parents are vets who run a clinic, and he grew up watching them work tirelessly for animals, treating them with respect and care. For him, seeing these horrible conditions is just unforgivable. The ruthless guy, a little too smug, taunts Murata, mentioning he knows his parents well and how they tried to intervene with the animal welfare group. He's got a lot of nerve, though, claiming that Murata and Yuri have no solid evidence, so they won't be able to do anything about it. He even dares them to leave with nothing but a sad face. But Yuri, cool as a cucumber, suddenly surprises both Murata and the dog killer by revealing she's been recording everything. Yep, the entire time, she's had a mini camera on her. She casually admits it, grinning and explaining how she had an old man help her set it up. It's the latest model, too, one that records both video and audio. She's glad it's coming in handy. Murata's a little nervous, but asks if they could turn the footage over to the police. The unkind man could be arrested. The old man, not fazed at all, sarcastically laughs it off, saying that even if he gets arrested, what's going to happen to the dogs? The cops will just treat them like property and might even put them down. He's sure the police won't care. Yuri, staying calm as ever, assures him that she'll take care of all the dogs herself. The dog killer scoffs, saying that's going to cost a lot of money, including food, hospital fees, everything. Yuri isn't even worried about that. She casually drops that she's an heiress, so money is no problem at all. This seems to shake the dog killer a bit, realizing his usual threats aren't working. He starts thinking to himself that maybe he'll just grab the proof by force. He extends his hand toward Yuri to attack her, but Murata quickly warns her. Yuri, however, just nonchalantly tosses the guy to the ground, knocking him out cold. She then instructs Murata to contact the police, and he immediately gets on it. The wicked guy, now out cold, mumbles about suing her for trespassing and assault. He's going to make her pay for this. But Yuri, still calm, just laughs it off. She tells him to save his threats for the police station. Looks like his big plan just backfired.